Hey guys, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. So, you guys, we got a really special treat tonight. We got Dr. B coming on the channel to chat with us about recovery from addiction. Let me get myself set up. Let me get you guys all in here, and then I'm going to send Dr. B an email and get him on screen with me. So, hold on just a second. Everybody, come on in, have a seat. Let's do this thing. Okay. Hey guys. Hey Jake. Hey Rachel. Hey Brad. Hey Casey. Hey Jerry. What's up, you guys? Okay. So while I got you guys here and Dr. B's not in here yet, I need to get your questions. So if any of you guys have questions, give them to me right now so I can write them down. So that way when Dr. B gets here, I'll be able to ask your question. Okay. Hey Hunter. Hey, Bethany. Hey, Merck. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm so excited. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, you guys, Dr. B has a channel. His channel is called Dr. B Addiction Recovery, and Dr. B is a doctor. And so I love having him on my channel because he can answer the questions that I can't answer. You know what I'm saying? He can reassure you about things that maybe you've heard me say, and you think, how does she know that? You know what I mean? Like he can come behind me and say, well, this is that, that is this. He has his own practice. He works really hard, you guys, helping addicts that are struggling, and so he's got one of the biggest hearts out of any doctor basically that I've ever met, and him and I have gotten to know each other over YouTube for about the last 8 or 9 months, and we've done probably this is I think our third or fourth video together. So I really have I respect Dr. B, and he has really helped me to learn a lot about my recovery. He's helped me to learn a lot about maintenance medication, and he has helped me to realize that it's okay to be on maintenance medication, and it really shouldn't matter what anybody else thinks or says. And so I hope you guys will ask questions. Um, Please, please, please. If you don't have any questions, that's fine. But I have questions, of course, and I have things I can talk about. But I know if you have questions, just ask them. Don't be embarrassed. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You guys are safe here, okay? All right. So let me get Dr. B. I'm gonna send him an invite, and I'll be right back. So y'all just hang tight, okay? Okay. Hey, Dr. B. I just sent it over, so it should be coming to you right now. Oops, sorry about that. I'm alive trying to push myself to go to rehab. Bethany, you can do it. This doesn't have anything to do with your channel, but y'all pray for my sister. I'm in Alaska crabbing who went down on New Year's. My brother is on the boat and missing. Oh my God, Jake. Okay, well, we'll definitely pray for them. I'm so sorry to hear that. Here's some of the questions that I have, you guys, and y'all let me know if y'all have any more. So I had a couple people reach out about tapering on medications, and so um, I'm gonna ask Dr. B about that. Now, listen, if you have a question about your taper or something like that, in order for Dr. B to be able to answer your question or even halfway answer your question, you're going to have to be really specific about how long you've been on the medication, your age, your basically everything. So if you guys want to ask Dr. B a question about tapering and it has to get really into your personal stuff, there is a way you can reach out to Dr. B, and all those things are going to be linked on my channel. Hey, Mark, will you do me a favor? Will you link Dr. B's channel in the comment section for me? Hey, Cindy. Hey, Bella. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad y'all are here. Hey, Fractal. Hey, Deidre. Hey, Rosie. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are all here. Yeah. Oh, hey, Dr. B. I see you.
Let me close this.
Yes.
Okay, it's closed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm sorry I'm late. I just got in from work.
No, you're fine. When I talked to Austin, he said that you wouldn't be able to be on until 8, so I was chilling.
No. Am I early? You want me to come back?
No, let's do it now. You're good. This is perfect.
Okay, good.
So how are you doing, Dr. B?
Thank you. This is Trin. She's my amazing assistant, and just so you know, she's a public health person, and I have some med students. I have Trin, whose background's public health. These young kids in their 20s that are fully committed to everything we do, this community, and she makes all the magic happen, and including my personal life. So that's Trin, and she's what makes it all happen every day.
Hey, Trin.
Hi.
You are so beautiful.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
So, Dr. B, I have a lot of new subscribers, and of course, we're going to link your channel and everything in the description in the comment section. But will you kind of just give everybody a rundown, introduce yourself, let them know what you do, what you're about, what your channel's about, all that stuff?
Sure. I'll be really quick. And by the way, Nicole, I just saw your last text. I'm so busy, but I said, okay, I will do that thing that you asked me to. My name is Dr. B, Dr. Bonimud. I am an addiction specialist. I'm in Orange County, California. I run a few different things. And my background's academic medicine. For years, I was professor of emergency medicine at UCLA Kern Medical Center, and then at UC Irvine, I was head of research. I left academic medicine about 4 years ago to do substance abuse in Orange County because I thought the care was horrendous. I thought the treatment centers were horrendous in what they did. I thought the care was barbaric. There was buying and selling of patients. Nobody understood medication-assisted treatment. So I gave up my professorship and decided to do this. Since then, I have a substance abuse medical clinic, which is very rare in this country, but it's common if you look at all the international standards of care. It is a harm reduction, chronic care, medication-assisted treatment approach to substance abuse. We meet the patient where they're at. We do medication-assisted treatment. We do shots. We do Vivitrol. We do hepatitis C treatment. I do urgent care because I've seen 37,000 patients in my life in a hospital. So I know how to do everything. So that's my private practice. It's linked into my nonprofit entity, which is a PHP IOP Aftercare. And it's one of the few that is truly in Orange County that is medication-assisted treatment friendly. And I accept people on medication. I put people on medication. They're linked up to my medical clinic, and we do the aftercare there. Again, it's chronic disease harm reduction approach. And I also run a couple of sober living homes, which I work with the sister industry, a sister company of Homeboy Industries. I help people in prison getting out and getting back on their feet. We do a lot of stuff in the community, harm reduction. We pass out Narcan. We are advocate needle exchange. I work with medical students. We do research. So it's all kind of tied in together. We'd like to think we're sort of a flagship in care in Orange County in terms of substance abuse, and our outcomes are better than anyone else. No judgment and medication-assisted treatment. That's the short of it.
That's what's up. Did I hear you say that you guys are helping people transition from prison into society? Did I hear you say that right?
I do, and I'm hoping to get more involved with that. What I do is there's a system. I don't know if anyone out there knows who Homeboy Industries are. You can look them up. It's a big organization out of LA. A Catholic priest started it in the 80s. It's international now. Their sister organization in Orange County, the name is Project Kinship. And they sort of reached out to me and they said, hey, you know, seems like you're the only legitimate guy in town. We heard you have sober living homes. I'm like, I do. And I'm their primary provider in terms of guys that get out of prison that work with them. And they've had substance abuse, gang problems. And I house them in my home for 1 to 3 months until they transition on their feet. And in addition, I give them any kind of substance abuse care they need.
Oh, wow. Because, see, we've been working over here on Real Talk Recovery, and we've been dipping our toe over there in the prison community. And we got a lot of new people coming over here to the channel that are just getting out of prison, that have been out of prison, and they have addictions. And now they're, you know, they got out of prison, they got back addicted, and now they're trying to get their lives back together. So I've been, you know, working with all those different people. But this is what I want you to do, Dr. B. I want you to tell everybody, because we got a lot of new people on the channel that don't understand Suboxone and the way it works. So can you start out and kind of give everybody an overview of how Suboxone works, and about, because I have been getting a lot of comments lately about being on Suboxone and being addicted to Suboxone and not knowing whether there's a difference between being on medication for 4 years and being dependent on it, and then being an active addiction. So that was one of the first things that I wanted to talk to you about was Suboxone long-term treatment, and whether or not it's being addicted to Suboxone, or if there's a difference.
Sure. You know, by the way, hi everybody. I see out there. I see the comments. Hi everyone. So the very definition and concept of medical addiction has been really updated in the last few years with the American Society of Addiction Medicine, and it's a good concept. Really, in that concept is a complex issue here. That addiction means whatever it is, whether it's these things that Trin just brought for me, these are little sweets because I've been eating all day, or heroin. Addiction is something that you actually, it starts to consume your life, not just your body. Everything you're doing, you are going to commit all of your resources to getting that substance or activity. And it escalates, and you need more and more of it. And it affects your physical health as well as your psycho, social, spiritual, and legal, even though they took that part of the definition out. That's addiction, okay? Suboxone, if you're going to say I'm addicted to Suboxone, that's not the definition of addiction, right? Yes, you do need Suboxone very seriously in the same way someone, as I've said before, needs their insulin, their blood thinner, their blood pressure medication. That's not addiction. Do you need it? Yes. And it's not like you're taking somebody off the street and saying, hey, why don't you start taking this Suboxone stuff? Now you have a serious dependence on it. These are people that need it for different reasons, one of the main ones being addiction, and you're transferring them from a deadly substance that increases your addiction, potential abuse, and meaning, and overconsumes your life, to something that allows you to move forward with your life. And we know all of this, and it is true, because what do we want to measure? We want to measure your physical health. That means your overdose, your hepatitis C, hepatitis B, HIV, soft tissue infections. Again, I said pulmonary edema, endocarditis, infective endocarditis, prison time, homelessness, losing everything you have. That's what we define as addiction. Suboxone, okay, that's not what it does. And under the right circumstances, with the right care, a patient should be on Suboxone so they can actually preserve their life. Does that help what the major difference is?
Yes. I mean, I know the difference because I've kind of had to share that with other people. But I think people get confused because when you're on Suboxone, you are dependent on the medication. So there's a confusion between dependence and addiction. And that's what I try to say is that addiction comes with, the negative consequences, the stealing, the lying, the cheating, the selling our bodies, going to prison. And dependence, I don't have all that stuff behind my dependence to Suboxone. I have changed from doing all those things now to being where I am at now on Suboxone and being dependent to it. But I'm no longer acting out in those negative behaviors, those addictive behaviors.
Absolutely. And I'll add two more things. One of those issues is people complain about, man, these Suboxone doctors suck. They just want to push Suboxone and I'm dependent on it. And I think they have forgotten, I don't know who people's doctors are, if they enjoy going to them. I think they have forgotten what they were doing in the relationship they had with the heroin dealer and the fact that they had given up their whole life. Now you got to deal with some idiot like me, and you got to see him once every week or once a month or once every 2 months. Okay, I'm sorry. Number two, I want to point something else. Trent, will you come back here real quick? I get a lot of comments on my YouTube channel about oh, this guy's just pushing Suboxone because he makes a boatload of money, this, and this, and that. And I want to address that right this second. Trent, you got 1 second? Number one, I made far more money and worked a lot less as a professor of emergency medicine in the University of California system with a lot of benefits and no headaches. That's number one. And
Right.
Trent. So Trent was there today. This happens all the time. Got a guy walk off the street, 25 years doing dope. You just saw the sign, came, walked right in. Do you have any insurance? No. Do you have this, and this? No. Are you homeless? Yeah. 10 years plus in prison. Okay, I'll take care of you. I don't care. So here's what I want you to do. Let me see if you come back tomorrow. Let me see if you come back Monday. Let's see if you come back Tuesday. And if you're serious, I'll start taking care of you. So I'm not in this because I'm making millions of dollars. In fact, my hourly rate in the ER was $375. And I spent hours following up on patients with all of the headache, with all of the liability, and often no pay. So the idea when people put these comments, I'm in this for the money, you are very wrong.
I think that they don't understand because I know that you're not in it for the money, but I don't think people realize that there's a lot more to why you do what you do than just like, oh, I'm a doctor and I help people because that's my job. Like, will you kind of share with everybody about what happened when you were younger and kind of give them the background of how it was when you were growing up and maybe what inspired you to become a doctor and help addicts?
Sure.
I always get you with this, don't I?
Yeah, I don't really talk too much about it because I never really.
It's important because it shows that you're a human being, and people forget. Just because Dr. B is a doctor doesn't mean he's not a person, a human being with feelings and thoughts and everything, just like we are. This is where we're missing, is that I'm an addict, but I'm a human. You're a doctor and you're a human, and that's where we're missing that connection.
Yeah, this is something it's not even in the forefront of my mind, and I even thought about it and realized that a couple of years I went out into this when people kept asking me, why do you do this? And what Nicole, I believe, is referring to is that I lost my father at a very early age, and it's something and I lost him to substance abuse. I was, I don't know, 5, 6 years old, and he was 42, and he was a very educated man. We came from, a well-to-do family, and there was not a day in my life where my dad was not hammered. And even as a young man, I remember living the pain of dealing with this because you love this person so much, and the effect and impact of having such a loss at such an early age is so profound, and it affected my life so deeply and so profoundly and so pathologically in so many ways it's there probably wasn't a day I couldn't stop thinking about it. Maybe well into my late 20s and early 30s. And I think this is what Nicole's referring to. I will tell you a story, Nicole. I was really young. My father's drug of choice, and we don't talk about this in the family because I come from kind of a little bit of an elitist, kind of liberal family, but very elitist. So stuff like this is hush hush. One of my most messed up memories in my entire life is my father. His drugs of choice were heavy alcohol, opium, I believe benzos, tobacco, you name it. My dad was into it. And my dad, we had a driver, and he took us to our villa by the beach somewhere. And my mother was begging my dad, don't take him, because she knows he does his thing. And I loved my dad. And I remember driving to that villa. Man, I must have been 3, 4, 5 years old. I don't know. And the only thing I remember after that, and keep in mind, I'm almost 50 years old. This is when I was 4 or 5, so I don't know how deep good. I'm going to tell you guys, for years I thought about this. The only thing I remember is being in this dark little cottage by the ocean, pitch dark in the 70s, okay? And the only thing I recall is asking my dad, Dad, Baba, I'm Persian. And all I remember is him out cold, in the bathroom floor, bleeding all over, naked, and a broken glasses of the vodka bottle and a cigarette burning and some other stuff. And I was horrified looking around. I was afraid of the dark. It's dark outside. Somehow I found the driver. Somehow we got back to the city. And these things are no joke. And every single one of you has scars and events in your life that have formed who you are. And it's shitty. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
And this is one of the memories in my life that probably, so I understand, and I have my own issues because my whole family loves substances. And so I fully understand my patients. I think I do. They call me the most abnormal normie they've ever seen. So they know there's no judgment. You get your butt in there. If my dad's going to kill himself with the family on the line, what am I going to judge? Right? I understand this. So don't think I'm going to judge you when you come into my practice. We are going to deal with this day by day, meet you where you're at. Don't run away. Don't hide. I hope that explains the background you were.
It does. And I have to ask you this, like, in your family, you don't have to answer if you don't want, but was there like this whole, did you guys have to keep things a secret? Because that's how it was with my husband's side of the family. It was very, shh, don't tell anybody that you have this addiction. It's this dirty, dirty secret. And if anybody finds out, then they'll look at us differently. They'll think badly of us. But in the meantime, not telling anybody and not getting the help is what ends up, killing us, and we can lose our lives behind that. So do you think that, your dad had a lot of shame, and maybe because y'all's family was, well-to-do, that he felt like he couldn't tell anybody and get the help that he needed?
Yeah. I know my mom spent basically most of my dad's fortune on getting help all over Europe and Middle East at that time. But in our own personal lives, this was something you do not talk about. Never.
Right.
In fact, if my mother saw this right now in her 80s, she'd shudder. And my sister doesn't talk about it, and it's like taboo. I never spoke a word. Why did your dad die at 42? Oh, he was sick. Of what? And so until the last, maybe in my 30s, I was like, oh, I can't say anything. Now I'm like, you know what? This is healing for me, man. This is a reflection of what I am, who I am, where I came from. Substance abuse is a problem that destroys you and your family and your loved ones, and it affects society. So it's weird for me right now to talk to you about it. And in fact, I'm a little ashamed. And in fact, I'm afraid of who's watching, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, what if mom finds out? Even me as a 50-year-old guy. And we kept it quiet. You don't talk about this. And it kills.
That's the thing. And I think that's how I feel when I share things. It makes me feel like I'm healing. You know what I mean? I can share it and it makes me feel better. But my husband is just like that, just like you, Dr. B, where it's like this shame comes behind it and he gets afraid or worried to share those things because that's how he was ingrained. It was ingrained in him to keep the secret and never tell, and it's hard whenever I'm not like that. I tell everybody about my recovery and I want to help everyone I can. But it's hard when I see my husband struggling because I know that he carries that with him because that's the way he was taught. And then I meet a lot of other people here on the channel who they're taught the same way. Keep it a secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. What will they think? And that's the wrong way to be. Like, you have to reach out and get help, and you can't keep it a secret because that secret will kill you.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I will say even extending from the addict themselves to the children of child of an addict, I've had a lot of psychosocial dysfunction in my own life, relationships, and so forth. And most of that, a lot of that comes from that history. And just now, I have my own therapist over the years that I go see, and I deal with a lot of issues. I'm no different than any of you guys. And I keep forgetting you're kind of interviewing me today, but I might as well be honest with the community. Look, guys, I suffer from depression. I suffer from anxiety. I suffer from fears. I suffer from panic. And every day is a challenge. You wake up and you get up and you go. And you're like, I am going to make a difference in the world. And I'm going to, even though at the age of I'm 50, every day I learn something new. It might be from Trent. It might be from one of my patients. Every single day till the day I die. Maybe I'll keep failing, but I'm going to work to make myself better mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially as well. And you guys should realize that, it's not you or us. I'm not the police. I'm not the judge. I'm not the system. I am just like everybody else here in this channel, in this community. We are humans.
Right. And I know anybody that really watches your channel and knows who you are knows that you're not just here to make money off of people. Of course, like, you have to get paid because, you got a kid and you got a family, but those are, I think a lot of the time it's just people who don't understand or like trolls or whatever. So, we don't worry about them, but I just wanted people to know, like, that that's why whenever I remember the first day that you came on the channel, the first interview we ever did, and you came on and you shared about your family and your dad, and I knew right then, well, I always knew, Dr. B, from the day that you ever came on, when we first started interacting, that there was something different about you than anybody I'd ever interacted with that was a physician. And so I was just like, wow, this man is real different. I don't know what it is. And then that day you did that interview with me, I knew. So I'm just so glad that you are willing to share with us like that, because a lot of people wouldn't do that. And so it really makes it easier to talk to you, and it makes me feel comfortable. So I know it makes other people feel comfortable. So I have some questions for you. Now, a couple people sent questions in, and then I got a couple questions from the comments. So this is the first question I got. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So does California allow marijuana as a medical treatment? And what are your thoughts on medical marijuana?
Yeah. So it does. If they do, you can get a prescription for medical marijuana. My thoughts on it is that, so I am from Northern California, which, if anyone's familiar, I went to Berkeley, so that's a very liberal area. So I grew up around marijuana and all that, so I couldn't care less in general someone smoking pot. But over the last few years, I have a few problems with it. Number one, I've noticed marijuana in general in the addiction community, when you have hardcore addiction issues, it doesn't work, because I kept seeing failure after failure, guys that were trying to get clean. I've had to kick people out of programs because They got everything together. They got nowhere to go. They're clean off heroin. They're getting their medication for free. They just won't stop smoking pot. And you start asking yourself, well, is this an addiction or is this something that is therapeutic for them? So that's number one. And I started to think about that. And about 2 years ago, I'm like, I'm changing my position on whether it's medical marijuana or regular marijuana, whatever. Two, the way our society works, everything gets abused. Whether you are prescribing oxycodone, okay, let's push it on everyone and say this is the miracle drug. Or now, oh, I can write a prescription for medical marijuana. So this helps your anxiety, your depression, your heroin addiction, whatever it is. And that's the capitalistic corporate system in this country, which is a shame. And people get sick. That's number two. Number three, the marijuana nowadays is not what it was 50, 60, 70 years ago. This stuff is potent. And just now, we are starting to look at data where I finally saw these, because before I would be like, these doctors are all these conservative Thai people. And they're like, no marijuana. We can't. That's an addiction. And now I'm looking at studies from UCSF, University of California, San Francisco. People are going into treatment for serious withdrawals, psychosis. This is all after coming off of marijuana. So in general, for this community, for the most part, I am very cautious with marijuana. I don't advocate it, nor is it the treatment or cure-all for addiction in general. And with my clients, I now advise all of them, please, let's start cutting back on the marijuana. And when we get there, almost 100%, guys, I don't have data to show you, but I just keep seeing people really improving. So that's my thoughts on marijuana in general right now.
Well, I agree. And here's the thing. I support anyone who is trying to better their life and do their recovery. But for me with the marijuana, and I've seen many patients in my doctor, in my clinic, who come in and they'll get on maintenance on Suboxone, and then they'll still be smoking weed. And so the problem that happens is they're smoking weed, and the doctor will let them stay on Suboxone. But the way our clinic does it is, if they're smoking weed, you can't go up in phase. So you have to come to the clinic every week, or I think it's every week or bi-weekly, but you're paying every time you come in, because we have to pay $200 when we see the doctor. And so you don't get to go above that phase. And so what happens is you can't ever, kind of move up. And so it holds you back. And then I see people who are smoking, and then it leads them, not because the marijuana, but they're around people who are still using other drugs. And so they're not getting a prescription. They're not going to the dispensary. They're going over to whoever's house on the block, getting a 25 sack of bud, and then homeboy's got fentanyl and heroin and everything else.
That is what you just said, the way your doctor and clinic does it. I love that, because they're just perfectly right. There's a barrier when you keep smoking the pot to really moving forward in recovery. I love what you just said. And yes, one of the reasons is who you're hanging out, but I do think there might be some cognitive slowdowns where it keeps you in the thinking of the addict, whatever it is. But what you just said, I love that. I might institute that myself, where I keep them coming in very close together.
Because, and I like, if a person wasn't on maintenance medication on Suboxone or methadone, then, I mean, if they want to smoke pot and that is their deal, then I don't have any opinion on it. But I feel like when you're trying to get past your opiate addiction, and you're trying to better your situation, that marijuana can hold you back, and it can put you in compromising situations. And so that's why I try to advise people to be a little bit more careful. And maybe, if you're already on Suboxone or methadone, just do what you're doing with your clinic, so that way you can move up in your treatment program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, give me some ideas right now, but I agree 100% on that one.
Okay, so, and like, I just want to make it clear, like, here on my channel, we support you and we just want you to better your life. And I know that you feel the same way, Dr. B. Like, we just want everyone to, we want you to get to a place in your recovery in your life to where you're able to thrive and you're not just maintaining or barely making it. But I think it's important that not everybody can go out and smoke marijuana and be healthy and do the right thing. Like, I can't do it. If I go out and smoke pot, it's just going to put me in a bad situation, because what it does is it makes me too chill. And when I get too chill, then I start making bad decisions, you know?
I agree.
Or I'm sleeping all day and eating a whole bunch of pizza. And then what's going to happen to my son if I'm stoned all the time?
Yeah, all those issues that you brought up are, I agree 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I do think that, like, when people are obtaining their marijuana and from a prescription point, like, maybe it's because they have chronic pain and they don't want to get on pain medication. I think that can help people. And so I do see both ends of the spectrum. But for someone like me, who is a drug addict, who would do anything to get high on anything, it's not good for me. And so that's why I think that people have to make sure that we are honest with ourselves. Like, can I do this? Is this going to work for me? Like, and for a long time, I couldn't be honest with myself. Like, I would make excuses, you know. But today I know, like, marijuana is not safe for me. I can't do that, you know.
Absolutely. You look at it just the way I do, and I agree 100%.
Let me see what I got going on. Okay, so I had another question. Okay. Okay. One of the girls said that her doctor is wanting her to jump off of her Suboxone at 2 milligrams. Can you tell us what a good taper is, and what if you were tapering? Let's say you were tapering me. What dose would you have me finally jump at?
So when I'm tapering somebody, number one, I follow them extremely. When it's time, if we all agree on the taper, okay, let's give this a shot. I follow them very, very closely. So keep that in mind. And if they can come in every week to tell me how they're doing, and I say, hey, let's take a drink a little more water to keep them hydrated, the touch of baclofen, touch of ibuprofen, cool. And my rate of taper depends again on the person and what they can tolerate, whether I go down by 1 milligram a week and so on. But if you get down to 2 milligrams, and that's where we're at, and we're continuing on taper, you know, by the time I get somebody off, I don't even know if it's 0.5, because by this point, I'm prescribing them the 2 milligram strips or tablets, and they're chopping up into eighths or quarters, right? And eighths are going to be 0.25. And I've noticed people get off probably somewhere between 0.1 and 0.5 is when they make the jump, the ones that do. And there are some that we go back up on, we stay on for a while. I don't mind if it goes back and forth. And I'm going to be honest right now, and some might not want to hear this. There are some that are very adamant about getting off, and we do that. And I'm like, okay. And they realize, you know what? I do better staying on this. I do better in terms of my mood, in terms of anxiety, in terms of depression. And they haven't even got to using if I stay on 2 milligrams, 6 milligrams. And if they get to that, and we can tell because I follow you really closely to look for withdrawal symptoms like pain, nausea, vomiting, the typical stuff. But I also watch very closely for things like sleep and mood, anxiety, depression, how you're getting along at work, focus, and how you're getting along in your environment. It might be your wife, your mother, your brother, your sister. I don't care. But the ones that I get off, it's between 0.1 and 0.5.
Okay, 0.1 and 0.5. So,
but again, that's just my experience. There's no data to really back me up in that.
Well, I just ask because I watched somebody else who is tapering, and this person is down to like point something. And now I realize that I guess what they do is they cut it so small that they can pick it up with a needle point.
Is that what they're doing? I mean, my people cut it tiny.
Does that, so Dr. B, does that little bit really make a difference or
Probably,
no?
probably not. Probably a lot of it is psychological, but I don't care if it's actually putting chemicals in you or if it's psychological. I just
Uh-huh.
care about your mental health, your physical health. So that's what you got to do. Again, we have to remember what the issue was in the first place. Opiate addiction, method, whatever. It's opiate addiction, but everything else that came with it. So
Right.
if you got to take a needle, put this in your mouth, and that makes your life work. My
Yeah.
goodness, we are in a society bombarded with garbage medications that people don't need, and doctors are prescribing it. I am okay with you taking a little needle, putting that in your mouth, and if your life is going well, that's how I compare it.
So is a lot of the withdrawal that we go through when we get down to that point where we're low is, I believe that a lot of it is psychological, but I think that a lot of people don't understand that our addiction centers in our mind, and our brains are so powerful that, if we're thinking I'm sick, I don't feel good, I'm going through withdrawal, I'm hurting, then what's going to happen? We're going to be hurting.
Yeah. So that's a kind of a difficult question to answer in some ways, because the question becomes, what is the difference between mind versus body? When does psychological become physical? The only way I can answer that is to the best that I can answer it. There's one area I can't answer it, where there's data. For people that, let's say, they just quit whatever, their dope, whatever it is, the old data shows this. You know how there's acute withdrawals and then post-acute withdrawal syndrome. We
Uh-huh.
know that up to 6 months at least, there's physiological parameters that I can measure that change: heart rate, blood pressure, EKG changes, hormonal changes. And some guys say, well, the real reason for relapse in post-acute withdrawal 6, 7 months down the line is because of the physiological changes, and the psychological just make it unbearable. I'm not going to pick that kind of fine difference. Yes, you can call it psychological. I'm sure there's different hormonal, not messenger changes in your mind. But whatever it is, and however you want to call it, I absolutely agree with you in that mind over body does matter, and it's what you put your mind to. At the same time, there's limitations to that where we can use the medication. But if you're down to that point, with needle stick, and if it's time to do what needs to be done, absolutely, it's a lot of it is your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't disagree at all.
But because I feel, I know for me, like when I reflect back to times where I cold turkeyed off of opiates, I remember what it felt like to be sick. But then I also remember what it felt like, that doom before I knew the sick was going to come. Almost like I was anticipating it. You know what I mean? I wish there was a way with Suboxone that we could blind taper like they do with methadone.
You could. Uh, that's a great thing, and you probably could do that. In fact, thank you for bringing that up. Another great idea, and I might give it a shot with the patient that consents and wants to taper. I'm going to try that with Suboxone. Great
How
idea.
would you do? How would you do a blind taper? Would you just dose them every day when they came in?
No, I would first I would get their permission and tell them, okay, that you want to do it this way, and then depending on their psychological state, and I would see if they're agreeable to it. I would do it weekly. I would do it weekly, and oh wait, you're right, because no, I do have an opportunity to dose them every day. I could do that, and sometimes, well, there's a couple ways.
That
No,
would be so awesome because that would make, I feel like I see people with methadone, they blind taper and they have such an easier time getting off because they don't know.
there's a couple of ways to do it. One is having come in every day, and that's a little bit difficult with people. Two if the person has a good support group at home, like the husband, wife, or whatever, brother, sister, mother, son, and in that case, I believe that because I already do this with a lot of patients, their family gives them their medicine. Okay, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and my pharmacist, I use only one pharmacist if I can, and we work very closely together to take care of everybody. The only problem with that is, they're gonna see, if you cut a pill in quarters or something, they're gonna see. That's the only thing I'm thinking. But but they cannot know if it's a 2 milligram, 8 milligram, 12 milligram. So to some extent, I could try this out, and I might.
I think that would be I want to talk to my doctor about doing that. Like once we get down to the last little bit, I wonder if he could help me do that. Because I just feel like it would be a smoother transition, for me at least. I know it's taken me and have you had a lot of patients that struggle with overtaking their Suboxone
Not
and
too much. Go ahead.
not too many? And if you have, how do you work with them to kind of how do you get them to where they're not overtaking it or running out early or taking it like because what I would do, and this is at the beginning of my treatment, probably about a year and a half, 2 years into my Suboxone treatment, I was still taking my Suboxone as if it was like a hydrocodone. So I was at work and I'd be having a bad day and I'd be like, oh, I just need another piece of Suboxone. And so I'd get my Suboxone out, take a piece off and put it, but it wouldn't do anything, but it was in my mind. And so what would happen is I would run out early and I would go to my doctor. He'd call me in to, check me and make sure I was not relapsing and count my medicine, and I'd be short. So do you have a lot of people that do that? And if so, what do you do to help them?
Yeah. So, what I do. So I've had one patient that I've kicked out of the practice for actually abusing Suboxone. Only one. uh, Truly going on. And then I have a couple that overused it, maybe a couple. And what I do with them is I decrease the frequency of their visits. And
Mm-hmm.
once I figure it out, and make them come instead of every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or every month, or most eventually get to, I decrease it to once a week uh, uh, scripts, and I work with them very closely even throughout the week. My staff, Trent, myself, a couple of the kids at the office, we call them follow up.
Yeah.
This is the dose you got to take, and it just takes a little bit of coaching and getting
Yes.
them on to do that. And if they're really bad, I'll even force them to start coming to groups at the IOP, and some are just difficult. There's maybe a total of 4 or 5 that have been like this. One of them, he's just difficult with the subs. I had one that really enjoyed smoking it, and
What?
oh yeah, he would take the paper and smoke it, and that one took me. Uh,
I didn't even know you could do that.
well, it's disgusting, but he did it, and he's a great guy. And it took us a couple of years. I mean, this is a heavy use guy. He was in with the Mexican mafia, selling guns, selling huge. He's a really good guy, and he lives near the border. But it took us a couple of years to really get everything sorted out. And now he's about 8 months clean, new baby, just just takes his Suboxone 3 times a day. But before, he was sneaking around in the garage in the bathroom and putting it in a cigarette and smoking it.
Wow. Wow. I did not know you could. Well, anything's possible, I suppose. Well,
Mhm.
the reason I asked you that is because I have a couple of girls that have reached out to me who are going through, they're struggling. And so, what I have them do is call me and check in with me once a day. If they have to do it twice, they do it twice. And we do a check. We do our morning check where they take their medicine, and then we do our afternoon check if they need to take, like maybe they half it and they take one in the morning, one in the afternoon. But that's the way I broke myself because I was like, I'm doing this and it's an addictive behavior and I recognized it. But sometimes if you can't recognize it, that it's an addictive behavior that you're doing, then you're not going to be able to change it. But I knew it was because I was running out, and my doctor was like, if you don't quit running out, you know, what am I going to do with you, Nicole?
Now, I'm very, every time you do something like what you said you do with this girls, it's exactly what I do. So it's very insightful and clinical of you to just kind of figure that stuff out on your own. I'm supposed to figure it out, and most doctors don't do what we're doing. But that's exactly the way. I'll make one comment about the addictive behavior. There are certain times where I'm okay with the addictive behavior for Suboxone. For example, there is a kid, and in fact, I can even say his name because they did an article on him in the OC Register, Brody Webster. And if you guys want to look him up, OC Registered, December of 2017, they did a big article on us. And he takes his Suboxone in a very ritualistic way. And it's for him, it's a daily ritual. He takes it on time. He doesn't abuse it. But that behavior is sort of modeling his addictive and OCD behavior. And in that case, I'm okay with it. And there's a few people like that. They'll set alarms on this, whatever it is that they do. They got this thing set up where they take it almost ritualistically and mechanically. And in those cases, that behavior I'm okay with. The ones you're describing, I run into a few of those. Those I'm not okay with. And then I really do what you do. I just constantly engage them, make them come in a lot, give them short prescriptions, and we eventually get a handle on it.
Yeah. I mean, with the girls I'm doing these, it's more of like it's an accountability thing, and they'll hear me talking about it on the channel because I'm like, yeah, I struggled with it. I used to overtake mine all the time, and then they'll reach out to me. They'll be like, Nicole, I'm doing the same thing, and I don't know how to stop it. I don't know what to do. I've tried, and I'm like, okay, just give me a call in the morning. Let's do this check. Misty,
yeah,
Misty, did you see it?
Yeah, am I allowed to say I know Misty?
Yeah.
Yeah, Misty's amazing. Yeah, good, Misty. Good for you.
She just hit her 6 months. She's so excited. We had a birthday celebration on the channel on Wednesday where we just do like sobriety birthdays. And I was talking about how when the first time I ever met Misty, and it was through you, and she called me and we talked, and she was so shy, like she could barely even talk. And now she's in every one of the live streams. She's interacting with everybody. I mean, it's just, that's the most amazing part of being able to be like connected with everyone, is being able to see people go from like embarrassed, ashamed, scared, shy, like feeling really down on themselves, to being like, I'm here, I'm supporting other people, we can do this, your recovery is valid. And she's able to help other people by sharing her experience, you know?
Yeah, Misty, I can sort of talk about Misty. She has come a long ways from when I met her, and I'll let her share. I don't want to, again, I feel weird because she is someone I take care of. So Misty's done amazing. I always believe there's a long ways to go. And while you're here, Fred, Misty, please call the office on Monday. We have some really good news for you. And we were just talking about you on the drive home. Sorry, it just came up because we were like really stressed out on getting a hold of Misty. Call the office Monday, Misty. Misty's online. Misty, please call the office on Monday. I hope she sees this. That's sorry, guys.
And if she listen, I'll text her after this and tell her to call y'all too.
Okay.
But I think.
I just saw a real thing quick. I think Merck was asking about smart recovery. I'm all about it. We don't use it in the IOP, and I would love to start using it in the IOP. I just wanted to say I noticed Merck was asking about that.
What is smart recovery about? Like, do you know what it's?
Yeah, like, little bit. I'm not an expert in it, but I see a lot of, it's an alternative to 12 step. I'll leave it at that. But I see people doing really well on it. I won't get too much into it. I'm not an expert on it. I look at it as kind of a behavioral and individual group intervention that's an alternative to 12-step. Most of the systems are free of charge. People can reach out to them. And I see somebody here, I think it might have been Merck that was asking about it. But I do like it as it's not an alternative in terms of competition. It's just another
right.
Like
a different way.
Yeah,
it's a different option.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that. Sorry.
Did you see? Okay, so one of the guys commented that there's a guy that watches the channel and he has a friend that just went to jail and he was on Suboxone treatment and he went to jail and they just put him in there and they're not giving him Suboxone. What do you think about this? Like, when somebody is prescribed Suboxone, they get in trouble, they go to jail, and then they're ripped off their medication. Like, what do you think about that? What is that person going to go through? I know what they're going to go through, but what would you say they're going to go through from a doctor's point of view?
Number one, what I think about it, don't get me started, okay? About what I think about it, because it's barbaric, and I hear it every day from my kid. So it's again, I'm going to get into the system, the prison industrial complex, what I think of all of it. I'm not going to get into that. It's tragic. It's inhumane. It's barbaric. It's sad, and they're going to go through bad opiate withdrawals, right? Yeah. And that's not cool. There's no reason for that. We shouldn't be doing that. It's criminal. They're going to go through opiate withdrawals.
And what happens is you got these poor guys or girls that go in and they're in county jail before they go and get sentenced to prison, and they're sick as in there, dehydrated. I mean, just being ill, really ill. And people get so sick that they're having seizures, and then the guards don't get them the proper medical care they need. And like, there's people that have died in county jail because they were so sick that they didn't get the care that they needed.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, and I totally disagree with what they do, and it's just not cool. And go ahead.
The government, or the state that the jail is in, or they should have that medication in the jail for people that come in that are addicted to heroin, or that are coming in that are prescribed the medication, and they should give it to them as a service. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very state and county dependent, but what I constantly see is hopefully we get there, Nicole. But right now, what I see is a lot of places, and it's very, very inappropriate care, and it's that kind of thing. By the way, Dr. Miles Sandoval, actually, he told a little bit about smart recovery. Yeah, that's correct. He probably knows much more than I do, and he talks about the free access to smart recovery. And I like it quite a bit, Dr. Sandoval. Yeah, and he tells a little, if anyone's interested about smart recovery, he comments on it. Thanks, Dr. Sandoval. Yeah, it's very criminal, Nicole, all that stuff that you're talking about.
Somebody wants to know, what about Vivitrol? What's the difference between Vivitrol and Suboxone?
Big difference. Vivitrol is naltrexone, okay?
Uh-huh.
And it's a monthly depot of naltrexone. Naltrexone is a daily medication. That medication is called a complete antagonist. So it goes into the opiate receptor and blocks it, right? So it blocks it, and that's it. It blocks it. Now, Suboxone partly turns it on, partly turns it off, if that makes sense. But it is those properties that lend itself to the clinical manifestation of it. When you turn it off and block it, that means, and it binds very strongly. If I did an opiate, it can't get in there, okay? Now, people argue that Vivitrol, naltrexone, whatever you want to call it, actually has some effects on cravings and withdrawals. I disagree. For the most part, it doesn't have a clinical effect where we can measure in the long run the number of people that stay clean. I think it's appropriate for certain times. Suboxone or buprenorphine partly turns it on, partly turns it off. And what that does is, without getting you high, without having the euphoria, without escalating the amount you need to take, It should take care of your cravings. It should take care of your withdrawals. And it's a maintenance medication, whereas something like Vivitrol, I think, is a relapse prevention medication. And then the next question in the big picture is, when should you take which? Well, ideally, you should take maintenance medication, and at the tail end of it, maybe if you need to, get on relapse prevention for a little bit of insurance. Number two, if you're driving a train, flying a plane, or being a surgeon or a doctor, and you need it for the boards to say, hey, I am safe now after this amount of time of recovery. I am also on Vivitrol. I think it's good for those situations. That's my thought on Vivitrol.
Yeah. Because I've had a lot of people come to me and say, well, why aren't you on Vivitrol instead of Suboxone? Like, almost like, why am I not, like, because I'm on Suboxone, that I'm somehow, like, I don't think people understand that being on Suboxone, taking it daily, that you're not getting high from it. They think that for some reason that being on Suboxone gets you high every day when you take it. I have tried my hardest to explain over and over again that the way Suboxone works and I know you were kind of just explaining it just then. Will you explain to everybody about how Suboxone works and how when you take it as prescribed daily that you don't ever get that euphoria?
No, you don't. If you go through Suboxone right now and I took an 8 milligram strip, yeah, I'd probably get a euphoria, whatever it is, dizziness, high, feeling good. I don't know.
Because you're opiate naive, because you have nothing in your system you've never had.
Exactly. But that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about folks that are not opiate naive. And even if they've been clean, let's say for a few weeks, you can still start Suboxone if they're like, man, I'm going to relapse. You just start at a low dose and move up. Once, for the most part, even if you get something right at the beginning, within a day or two, you get nothing. I assure all those people that say that, nobody, for the most part, except one small percentage, like anybody, is chasing a Suboxone high. I know. Someone that's been shooting dope in their veins is not chasing a Suboxone high, and there's no high for them. They're doing the right thing to get on with their life. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What is the difference between Suboxone and methadone? Somebody wants to know in the comments.
Mm-hmm. They are, well, there's quite a few differences. God, how much should I get into this? They're both maintenance medication, number one. So, and they're both basically what they mean by maintenance medication is that, you take this and they're long acting and they're replacements for opiates. But there's some other differences here that are really important, which makes Suboxone, for the most part, better. Not for everyone, but I think for most people now. Methadone is, like Suboxone, a full synthetic opioid, okay? So they're both the same in that way. One of the differences is that methadone is a full agonist, which is no different than heroin or oxycodone, and Suboxone's magic is an agonist-antagonist. Those are key differences. Okay. What that implies is this. Suboxone, methadone, you can overdose on. You can increase your dose. But what makes it magical, the methadone, is that it has such a long half-life that people generally don't need to increase their dose. But that long half-life also lends to a lot of complications and tricks to dealing with it. In general, so I hope that helps, but and I can go into this for a couple of hours. In general, what I want people to know, the way I think of the two, is that Suboxone is sort of the new and improved methadone. And for most people, I feel that probably they should be getting started on subs versus methadone. They can both do the job if done right, but methadone is that super deadly toxic chemo where you got to get on. It's not that bad, but I'm comparing with Suboxone. It's that heavy chemo that you got to get on to save you from the cancer. And all of a sudden, we got the new improved wimpier chemo that does the same thing, but some people still need that heavy chemo. I hope
Right.
that kind of translates what the difference is. I can go into more detail. I don't want to bore everyone.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. And I also, like, I've been linking podcasts for everybody. Like, I found this podcast on SoundCloud, and it's these doctors, and they're talking about Suboxone and methadone, and they're talking about how, methadone was the gold standard for opiate treatment for a long time. And now Suboxone has come in, and it's kind of taking the place of methadone. And, I believe that they're both amazing medications, and where maybe somebody can't take Suboxone because they have like a weird reaction to it, so they can use methadone. But like with Suboxone, I could go up on my dose, and nothing happens. But as you up on your dose with methadone, there's a change. And so that's why I see a lot of people who are in the methadone clinic at first, before they get their recovery and they start being serious about it, they're chasing that next, can I go up 5 more milligrams? Can I go up 5 more milligrams? Until they top out at the max dose of the methadone. And then they're like, well, I'm on 160 milligrams of methadone and I have nowhere else to go from here. And so then they start making the change and trying to go down.
Yeah, side effects, high enough dose. We got some cardiac conduction issues. And if you take a benzo with it, it's the same as taking it with the heroin. I don't want to get too much into ways of getting high. The addict community knows that. But methadone, you can overdose on. I can go on and on and on. And you can try to chase a high. And Suboxone doesn't have that. And besides reaction, there is also a small percentage. Again, this is why a doctor, you shouldn't just pick everybody and say, this is what you're doing. There's going to be a small percentage that are, for some reason, there's in the way and heaviness they use, methadone just works for them. But I think that number is less and less as time goes by.
Right. And just so everybody knows that it's in the comment section, we support you on methadone or Suboxone. Me and Dr. B, we are neutral in that area, but there is a difference between the two. And so that's what we're trying to explain to you guys, is that there's a difference between the two. But if you're on methadone, keep doing what you're doing. Don't get discouraged. You're doing what's right for you, and that's all that matters. If I listened to everybody's opinion about being on Suboxone, then I'd be out there in the streets getting high again, because everybody has an opinion about whether I should be on Suboxone or not. So you guys just keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Crystal commented on methadone. Like I said, there's a group of people. It's fantastic. And I have no problems with it. In fact, I advise all the time on dosing on methadone. And people that want to taper, switch to Suboxone. I have patients that I deal with their benzo addiction that are at the methadone clinic. I work closely with the methadone clinic. I help them on the methadone dose, and they are doing amazing. We go back and forth, 60 milligrams, some are on 80, some are on 110. But I am very avid. So, Crystal, good for you, and more power to you. Me and Nicole both very much support either way, whatever is working for you.
Yes. Sunshine wanted me to ask you this question, and I almost forgot. So Sunshine has been on Suboxone for over a year, and when she takes her medicine in the morning and then she maybe has lunch, she is so tired after she eats. Is there like a reason why she's so tired? Now, she's been on the medication for over a year, so she's taking it half in the morning and half in the afternoon. But when she eats, she's like, I feel like I need to take a nap right away.
Is she, two questions, was she like this before the Suboxone? And then is she taking that second dose right before she eats or right after she eats? Sorry.
Before she eats, and then after she eats, she's tired. This is what I told her. This is what I think. I'm like, girl, I'm old. I need a nap after I eat too.
So a couple of things. Right after you eat, in general, all of your glucose goes to your gut, okay, to be able to digest. So that slows you down cognitively, and people feel tired after. That's what they call, what do they call it? The post-meal coma or whatever after you eat. So that could be going on in general. But if she thinks it has anything to do with the Suboxone, take that dose after you eat and see if there's a difference. I don't think it's a big correlation with the Suboxone, but she could try it out. and I don't know how much she eats or what she eats for lunch. Maybe she's eating a heavy meal. Maybe change the heavy meal. Could be a lot of things. I don't think it's necessarily connected with Suboxone, but if she thinks it is, change when you take it to after you eat.
Right. Okay. Good deal. She says it's hours later. So she takes her Suboxone hours later. So, I mean, like I said, it's probably because I'm the same way. Like after I eat, and it depends on if I eat something that's like heavy and like maybe it's like Mexican food and it's a lot of tortillas and cheese and stuff, then I'm weighed down. Like now I'm trying to get in shape and eat more like greens and like vegetables and just meat and not a lot of carbohydrates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of Sunshine, and I got to know a little more details. I don't think it's a complicated thing to figure out. I think for the most part, Nicole's kind of nailing it. What is it that you're eating? Is this the whole thing? How long have you having this issue? But in general, people do get tired right after they eat because that glucose metabolism gets really turned on with the stomach and they get tired out.
Yeah. One more question, Dr. B.
Okay.
I'm sure you're getting tired. So I got somebody who wants to know, they're having the restless arms, restless legs. Is there something that they can talk to their doctor about getting on that will help with that restless arms and restless legs?
Sure. One of the first things I want to know, well, number one, a great medication for that is baclofen. It really helps with stuff like that, 10 to 20 milligrams. But what I would want to know with this person, again, the devil's in the details, is when are they getting this? Are they on no medication assisted treatment? Are they underdosed? Is it at night? And that helps me figure out, why is this happening? But if all of those things give me no answer, and I don't change the dose and time of the subs, I don't do hydration, then the medication answer for it, small dose of Suboxone really helps. I'm sorry, small dose of baclofen really helps.
Okay, Sunshine wants to know one more thing. I think Sunshine, you're on 12 milligrams, right? Okay, so she wants to know, do you think that her dose is too high? And I don't think that, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think that has anything to do with the dose because like we were talking about before, the dose of Suboxone is really, I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Dr. B, like I know for me going down from 12 to 4 milligrams, the really only difference that I've experienced is just a little bit of yawning when I went from 6 to 4. But for the most part, I feel like the same way I felt when I was on 12 milligrams.
Yeah, that's pretty much correct. And Sunshine, if you've been on this dose for a while, it just shouldn't be that it's knocking you out, especially if you take your dose in the morning, then you eat lunch 4 or 5 hours later and you get tired. I just simply honestly think it's what I got to know about your whole sleep cycle. It's pretty easy to figure out. A lot of it, I think, is what Nicole said. I don't think it's your dose, unless if there's something here that I'm not catching about. I got to know the whole history of present illness, and doctors don't seem to take much of that anymore. So I'm really careful unless if it's a trigger answer. I think for the most part, about everything Nicole said, those are probably the answers. And I don't think 12 milligrams is a high dose itself enough to say, hey, that dose is too high and that's causing you to sleep. No, I don't think that's the issue at all.
And and Sunshine, like I've never gotten sleepy from Suboxone except for when I first started it. After being on it for over, even if you were just on it for like 2 weeks, your body becomes, what is it called? Used to it. And it's no longer having that same effect that it had when you first got on it, maybe, and it made you tired and groggy.
I agree.
So, Dr. B, I love having you on. Like, it makes me so excited to see everybody. There's 36 people in here right now, so we did really good tonight, y'all. I'm so happy to have you. Dr. B, we got to start doing this regular now because I have more people finding the channel, and what happens is it starts slow. They start all coming in here and fading in, and then we get the questions popping. So I really appreciate you coming on with me. If you don't mind, can you come back on next Friday if you don't have anything else to do?
Back just next Friday. Fred, is that the 10th? Let me
Let me
look.
see.
It is.
Or I mean,
Just
is it?
it's just next Friday. I have to go out of town because I have to give a lecture to a bunch of doctors in Bakersfield on Suboxone. So it's a big conference for doctors that I'm talking at. But other than that, we can do this regularly. You just tell Austin, set it up. I'll make it happen. I got. I mean, wow, we've gone quite a while, which is not a
Yeah.
problem. Huh?
Nick wants to know. Hold on, one more thing. Nick wants to know if you've heard of niacin and sauna detox.
Yeah,
Is that? And that's good, yeah.
I mean, when they say these, there's no data that supports it in the long run. That people do well. I don't know what they're charging for that kind of thing. What are they charging, Nick? I mean,
I don't.
yeah.
I'm sure it's expensive because you get to go in one of those bougie saunas, and it's probably like a really nice treatment center, huh?
Yeah. Trent, can you get Andy's phone call? Sorry. Yeah, I don't think it's harmful, but guys, I think a lot of these things are just. Can you get this? It's Andy. Tell him it's sorry, guys. I got like 30 calls I've missed, but let's see what Andy. I don't. You got to look at the price. I don't think there's no data, Nick. If you're gonna pay thousands of dollars and you think you're gonna go do 30, 40 days, 2 days, 5 days, don't. Find a good Suboxone doctor. Pay them whatever it is, 50, 100, 150 bucks, and go that route. And even detox is a misnomer. It's assisting with the initial withdrawal symptoms, because detox kind of implies a beginning and an end. Now you're cured. You go. No,
Right.
This is the road, guys. I don't even like to use the term detox. So I hope that answers Nick's question.
Definitely. And there's no like quick fix to addiction. And if you have an addiction and you need help, you're not going to be able to go to detox, go to treatment for 30 days and then be like, oh, guess what, guys? My addiction's never coming back. Like there's so much work that goes into your recovery afterward. So yeah. Okay, Dr. B, I'm not going to hold you hostage.
Oh, thank you. By the way, he's Merck. You know Merck?
Oh yeah, I know Merck.
He's pretty. I love the John Wayne thing, and he makes some cool comments all the time, and he puts my channel up. I appreciate that. But I love
Merck is my head moderator, and Captain Napton is my queen moderator. I got two.
Okay. I see this stuff. All right, very cool. Because I love Merck's little John Wayne type thing. Hi, Merck.
They help me out so that way, because I can't do this stuff while I'm on here with you. So they do the links and all that stuff, so that way people can find you.
Nice. Okay, I got it. Very cool. Good. Decided.
Look at me, Dr. B. I'm getting like more professional about things.
Yeah. I'm working on it too.
Remember when you first came on and it was like it was a shit show, but we had a good time.
Oh, we did great. We did awesome. We're both growing, and
now we got a little bit more organization. So, okay, I'm going to let you go so that way you can go eat some real food. But thank you so much for taking time and hanging out with us. It means so much to me, and I know it means so much to everybody else.
I appreciate that. Real quick, Nicole, one of the things I'm kind of proud of that I really enjoyed, did you see that interview on LAHWF?
I did, but I don't know if everybody else did.
Did you enjoy it?
I linked it on my community tab.
No. Did you enjoy it yourself? It was a 2-hour interview with that guy.
Okay, I watched the whole thing because I'm a fan of yours, but I wish that he would have done it in 2 parts, because I feel like if he had done it in 2 parts, you guys, I feel like it would have brought a lot more people to your channel. Because here's the thing with YouTube. It's hard to keep people. I'm stretching it to keep people for an hour. So for 2 hours, I bet you what people did was they paused it and maybe came back the next day. But I wish, that's the only criticism I have. I wish he had split it.
So that's interesting you say that. Number one, he told me I've done 90 interviews and he's never done anything more than 30 minutes. So this was the only 2-hour interview he's done in 90. Number two, the comments that he received, very positive for him because they're like, dude, you've elevated to Joe Rogan. What happened? And so for a while on YouTube, if you put addiction, that was trending number one. The first few days, it was 5,000 to 10,000 views a day. And then it pulled down at 40, and now it's at 52,000. And I called him. I said, Andrew, what's going on? He's like, YouTube demonetized that episode, and it slowed the algorithm. Otherwise, you'd be at 100. I really enjoyed it for a 2-hour interview. I thought it was great, and the comments were good.
That's what YouTube does. The minute they demonetize it, it takes it out of the feed, and so it doesn't get shot out to all of his subscribers. And even out of there. It's horrible because it happens to me all the time. Every time I upload a video, if I'm not careful about the wording that I use in the title, it goes automatically demonetized. Automatically.
So that really bothered me because the comments he got were very positive. We got like 2,500 thumbs up. We got 50,000 plus views. And if you guys haven't seen it, I've never seen any of my videos at all ever. I did watch that one 2 hours through. I enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, see that one. It's not even my channel. It's LAHWF Andrew something. I don't know. But
Andrew Hales. Andrew Hales. Yeah. I just I want you to get more people over to your channel. And so that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I want people to find you, but I know they're finding you through that video, but I feel like I don't know. I just want people to find your channel because you're helping so many people and you're open-minded and there's not a lot of people like that. One more thing, Dr. B's fixing to do a benzo series on his channel, you guys. Dr. B, so many people need help with benzodiazepine addiction. And when I made a video on it, it hit like 1,000 views in the first week that the video was up, which is a lot for me. So I know there's a big pool for people that are struggling with benzos.
Oh, good. Do you have any particular thought? Thanks, Merck, and thanks, guys, for watching that one. If you have any, thanks, Cindy. If you have any particular thoughts you want me to address on the benzos, Austin's going to send me some stuff over the weekend, because to keep me on track, because when I start talking, I just go. So it's going to be what is benzos, talk about some of the different ones, the half-lives, and then one of the things I do that's very unique is the taper that I do. I do months to even years tapers with benzos. Very careful. So I'm going to address some of those things. And if you have any thoughts, just if you text me, it gets lost in my 6,000 things. You can text me anytime you want, Nicole. But the best thing to do is tell Austin. He'll make sure it's in my face and I take care of it.
Well, because I know I've had a lot of people wanting the thing that they want about benzos is they want to know when they get off benzos, how long is it going to be before they feel normal?
I'll address that.
So many people have reached out to me. I mean, I've probably had 15 people call me on the Real Talk Recovery line. When am I going to be okay? When am I going to stop shaking? When am I going to stop feeling like stuff's crawling on me? When am I going to get through this?
So I'm going to tell you right now, we can't get that. They should not be feeling any of that because somebody tapered them too fast and got them off. It's cruel, it's inhumane, and it's dangerous. And I do not do that. Benzo is such a weird animal, and we're getting into this. I'll stop in third. It's such a weird, deadly, just completely overtakes you animal, and it has very physical issues as well as psychological. It's so much worse than opiates in some ways. And as a doctor, what I do, what they should be doing is very close monitoring, very long-term. All my benzo tapers, unless if they graduated months and months and months down the line, they come in every week, not only for me to give them support, but to give them the taper very slow. And I'll take anywhere, depending on your age, your use, your other issues. We go anywhere from 3 months to 15 to 20 months. I'll leave it at that. I'm getting excited about benzos.
Listen, next live stream we do, let's do it about benzos. So like you drop your video, You drop your videos about benzos, and then I'll have you back on. I'll text Austin, okay?
Text Austin. And hey, Cindy. And hi, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Nicole, thank you for having me on. And if you need anything, call me. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Nicole, for having me on.
All right. Thanks for coming on. I'll see you later, okay?
That was fun. That was awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys. That was the infamous, the amazing Dr. B. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like, if you're struggling and you're in the California area, even if you're not in California, you guys, you can reach out to Dr. B. Go subscribe to his channel. He literally has a phone number on his channel you can call. If you guys need, if y'all want to work one-on-one with Dr. B, he has a Patreon where you're guaranteed time with him if you join that. So yeah, go over there and hit him up. He's a good doctor, and he'll go out of his way to treat you, you know, like a person, like a human being. And I think that's where we're missing a lot in the addiction industry and the doctors and stuff, where we're humans, you know, just because we had an addiction doesn't mean that we're not people too. He's Persian, I think, Bella. So I'm going to upload this video, but y'all come right back because I'm going to go live from my phone and we can talk about the live after the live. Okay? All right, bye.